Well, hey everybody, we are on live. I got my friend Jim with me, and Jim's had some remarkable health results since starting the ketogenic lifestyle, incorporating intermittent fasting strategies here over the last 2.5 months. And just really excited to be able to share that with you guys. And so, if you're coming on with us, definitely let us know who you are and where you're coming in from. I'd love to see where people are tuning in from. I know we've got an audience from all over the world. And I just love to always see that. Also, when it comes to keto and fasting, we're going to have a little bit of time to answer some questions. So if you do have questions when it comes to those topics, keto, fasting, definitely, definitely leave your questions, and I'll see if I can get to them here in our broadcast. We'll probably be on for about 30 minutes altogether. So those of you guys are getting on early, you got a better chance of getting your questions answered. Also, want to let you guys know that I'm going to actually be doing another broadcast on Thursday. I'm going to be interviewing our functional nutritionist at drjockers.com. So this is Danielle. I'm going to be interviewing her. She works with people all around the world, really helping customize health plans to help people get well. So definitely tune into that. And for those of you guys that share this post, I'm going to enter you into a raffle. And on Thursday, I'm going to announce the winner. And the winner is going to get a Keto Edge. So our best product, really the best product on the market when it comes to turning your body into a lean, mean, fat-burning machine, helping support the immune system. So I will be raffling that off. So all you have to do is leave a comment, and also looking for other great testimonials, people that are looking to do interviews like this, like Jim is, to inspire people and give people hope. So without further ado, first off, let's see who's on with us. We got Rosa coming in. Okay, so she is on with us. She says, "Hey, Dr. Jockers and Jim." And she also asked a question there. All right, so if you're coming in, let us know where you're coming in from. I know we got a bunch of people on with us. And so, Jim, why don't you share your story, how you really basically give us a background of where you were, like where you were with your health, how you came across the ketogenic lifestyle, and what kind of results that you've had.
Right. Well, it's been quite a journey. Actually, it started back in 2010. I started suffering really bad headaches. And that was something that was very foreign to me because I never, had a problem with headaches in the past. And, all sorts of things went through my mind like, do I maybe have a brain tumor or what? And one day it was just like God just placed in my spirit, check your blood pressure. And so I checked it. It was extremely high. I mean, it was so high, I was right on the doorstep of a stroke or a heart attack. And so I got in contact with my doctor. And unfortunately, I did have to go on blood pressure medicine. And so that was the start of it. And that was in April of 2010. And then about 2 weeks later, I also found out I was severe diabetic, and my blood sugar was 495.
Hmm.
And at that time, I weighed 425 pounds. Very little activity in my life. I would come home from work, and I would sit down in a chair, and I'd usually fall asleep after dinner.
Wow.
And so my mom passed away at the age of 57 to cancer. And I knew what it was like growing up without a mom, and my grandchildren, or my children and my brother and sister's children not having their grandma there.
Yep.
And I just decided, I didn't want to be one of those people. And so I got started on a diet. And at that point, exercising was really out of the question. I mean, I was so heavy. My back hurt, my knees ached me. I tried to do some walking. I got down the road about a quarter of a mile, and I didn't think I was going to make it back. That's how bad I was hurting. And so when I first started exercising, I just started in a chair. And I had some 2-pound weights that I put in my hand, and I swung my arms back and forth like if I was walking. And then, I started holding them out in front of me and doing some twisting and stuff like that. And I started that. And so on that journey, I started losing weight. And then had lost quite a bit of weight. was able to go in time, had to start cutting back on my medications because my readings were going too low. And then I had another setback. Part of my weight problem was due from stress and things that had happened in my childhood that, I just felt like a failure.
Mm.
And so I really didn't care much about myself. And sadly to say, I just left to get the best of me. Well, I had another setback in my life and I started gaining weight again and had to go back on my blood pressure medicine. And this time, had to go on double blood pressure medicine, what I was on. And at that time, the doctor I was seeing then wanted me to start seeing a nutritionist. So I started seeing a nutritionist, and basically to start with, my blood glucose was very high again, but never was put back on the medication. So she started me on what's called the diabetic plate plan. And between that and the Mediterranean diet, switching back and forth, is where I lost most of my weight. And I lost, and she really pushed me to exercise,
How
which it
much
was.
did you weigh? How much did you weigh at the time when you started that?
Um, I had gained about another 50 pounds, so probably about 375.
Okay. At
And
one point, you got up to 400, didn't you?
oh yeah, when I first
Yeah.
started, when I was
Okay.
first
Yeah. Yeah.
diagnosed, yeah, when I
Yeah.
was first diagnosed with, and then found out I was high blood pressure and
Hmm.
diabetic. Yeah, I was up to that, and but then she really pushed exercise, and my wife and I we loved to ride bike, and we had a tandem that we pulled out of the shed that had been in there for years, and we started riding, and we rode almost every day that we could that the weather was fit, and so that was back in 2015, I believe, when we started doing that. And that year we rode 1,018 miles on that tandem bike, and so the nutritionist really pushed me.
Yeah.
At that point's when I got down, had lost enough weight that I was approved for my skin removal surgeries, and I had three altogether. And the first one was my upper and lower stomach and a butt lift on that. And then my second one was all of my chest and my upper arms, and my last one was my upper legs.
Yeah, and just for the people that are out there listening, whenever there's like a lot of skin tags and large moles and things like that, as a functional medicine doctor, I always think insulin. Insulin makes things grow, and so if we're on a
Mm-hmm.
higher carbohydrate diet, if we have insulin resistance, we oftentimes will have larger amounts of growth, whether it is like lipomas or it could be obviously skin tags, large
Right,
moles, things like that. And clearly you had insulin resistance, and so
right,
that have been a big factor there. So
right.
go ahead, keep going with your
And I,
story. And
I did have, you talk about skin tags. I did have a lot of skin tags around my neck
mhm.
and stuff like that.
Yep,
And even in my armpits and everything.
yep,
So, yeah, that was part of it. But the thing is, when you lose that kind of amount of weight, you just don't realize how
hmm,
much excess skin you have,
yeah,
and it actually made it very hard to move. Exercise was hard. My skin would get in my way. I had a lot of skin yeast infections and
yeah,
and
yeah,
some other major medical problems that was going on just because of the weight of the skin
yeah.
and everything. And so, thank God, my skin removal surgery was approved by insurance for medical
Mm,
necessity.
yep.
And so that all took place. I'm not saying it was easy. It was painful. I had some complications with it, but to do it all over again, I would do it again.
Yeah. Now,
In
when
a
did you come
heartbeat.
across keto? Like, how did you learn about the keto lifestyle?
Well, okay, yes, that's a great question, David.
Hmm.
Um, this winter, well, actually last fall, my wife and I had both really got into what's called body pump. And so we were doing that on a regular basis. We were doing cardio drumming classes. My wife is still participating in that. But I had injured my right shoulder. And I mean, I literally thought that I had probably tore my rotary cup and was going to have surgery. But thank God, my doctor examined me and he said, no, it wasn't that. But it took time. It took a lot of time to heal. I mean, even just reaching for something with my right arm, it would hurt. And so it just took time to heal. So this winter, I basically could not hardly do any exercise. And um, we live in the country, and of course, the winter we had here in Indiana was a very bad winter, so you couldn't really get outside to walk and stuff. And so I actually, from sadly to say, from November till April of this year, I gained another 50 pounds back. And, after the journey I'd been on, it was very disheartening. It
I
was
bet.
very discouraging. I got depressed. I, even though I wasn't exercising, I was trying to, still eat right. But as time went on, and it seemed like even that wasn't helping, every time I stepped on the scale, it was higher. And so, I got off track. Well, unfortunately, I had to go back on blood pressure medicine this winter, and that didn't seem to help. And I was placed on a water pill, and then a second water pill was added, and we went on a while with that. And finally, one day, I made an appointment with my doctor, which he's excellent, Doctor Joe Schumacher here in Plymouth, Indiana, and he he introduced me to the keto diet and the intermittent fasting. And so started meeting with his nurse practitioner, and we got started on the journey. And I jumped full board on it. Maybe a little bit too full board. That day I went into a full fast,
Wow.
and I can't say that first night was easy. I mean, I was hungry, my stomach was growling. I was probably, if you'd asked my wife, even a little irritable.
I bet.
And
Yeah.
but as I continued on, it just got better and better and better. And now I'm, like you said, I fast on Tuesdays and Thursdays, are my
Hmm.
full day fast.
Yep.
Every other day through the week, I fast my breakfast, and now I don't get hungry. It's just amazing, because when you stop and think about a person that used to eat almost nonstop, um, to be able to do this. I tell people, until you do it, it's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah.
But I said that it's just like a peace comes over your body,
Yep.
and your body is just so much at a state of relaxation. And instead of trying to digest that food, it's working on getting rid of those bad skin cells and bad cells in your body that causes all sorts of health problems and stuff. Actually, I really think my arthritis is starting to get better in my knees since doing this. And I the thing that amazes me the most is my energy level. My wife and I, we own a dog grooming and boarding business here in Plymouth. And, I sometimes work 10, 12 hours a day. And, I'm able to stand. Since having my varicose veins procedures, my legs don't hurt me like they did with those veins.
Yeah.
Even now, I don't even have to wear the compression socks. And so it's just been a wonderful experience. I feel great. I'm happy. I'm telling as many people as I can about this. I said I wished I would have started the keto diet and the intermittent fasting when I first started, because I think it actually would have been easier and I would have felt better all along, because
Yeah.
it's just great. And the really great thing is, it took me from November to April to gain 50 pounds. And here I am starting April, and this is only June, and I've lost 35 pounds already. And I mean, it's amazing. I'm putting shirts back on that didn't fit me. Today, I put on a pair of blue jean shorts that I hadn't wore, since gaining that weight again. And it's just an exciting thing, And it's like I said, when I first started this journey, I mean, if you would have asked me that, you was going to lose over 200 pounds on a diet, I would have said, yeah, right. And I wouldn't have ever started, but I said it, I say it's okay to look at what your goal weight you want to be, but don't let that depress you because it don't happen overnight. It takes time. But my goal is to take the right step in the right direction each and every day, one day at a time and one step at a time, and you'll get there. You really can. And if I did it, it's possible for anybody. And I'm telling you, this keto diet and the intermittent fasting is really the way to go because I've done it other ways, but this is amazing. I've never
Yeah.
felt so good by
That's
doing
so
it this
great to
way.
hear, Jim. That's so great to hear. And just your passion, your excitement about it and
Right,
what you've seen. I think, a lot of other diets, you get results, but you're craving things, it's almost like suffering, it's willpower, and that's only going to
right.
go so far. And so you're able to easily fast on your Tuesday and Thursdays, like you were saying. And you said that you're skipping breakfast every other day. Is that correct? So you're doing an
No,
intermittent fast
I'm
every day.
skipping breakfast every day.
Every
So
day. So yeah, so
most
you do an
people,
intermittent
they eat
fast.
they eat 21 meals a day or a
Yeah,
week,
a week.
and
Yeah.
I'm eating 10 meals a week, and the
Yeah.
others are all fasting.
Yeah, that is awesome. And that's really what you want to do. I know I eat 12 meals, right? So I do uh two 24-hour fasts every week. So I do 12 meals a day. And I think you're right. You want to kind of find that right meal set. And so
Hmm.
skipping breakfast, cutting it down, you're doing 2 meals probably in like a 6 to 8 hour eating window too, right?
Right,
On
right.
those days that you are eating. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. That's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I never put a fast in between my meals. I
Yeah,
I either it would be
right.
lunch or dinner that I eat.
Yes.
I wouldn't eat breakfast and fast at lunch and then eat dinner. So
Yeah.
I keep my eating times together in
Yeah,
like that
it's
8 hour
smart.
window.
It's smart, that time restricted feeding where you're able to kind of consume your meals in a
Right,
short window and then have a larger cleansing window or
right,
window of time where you're not consuming food to help
right.
boost up hormones like human growth hormone, really get that insulin suppression, that anti-inflammatory effect. What would you say has been the biggest struggle? Like if there's, I know you talked about how easy it's been, but the biggest struggle you had, I'm sure you had some struggles early on. You may even be having some struggles right now when it comes to following this sort of a nutrition plan. What would you say those have been?
Actually, my biggest struggle was everything that I've been taught by my
Yeah.
nutritionist was low fat,
Mm.
you know. And when I first started, I didn't have any high fat foods in my house. One of the things I probably have missed the most is fruit.
Mm.
But I've just recently learned that I can have berries. So, that has really helped being able to have blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, raspberry and blackberries, that kind of stuff. So that has really helped. But yeah, the hardest thing was just almost retraining my brain, because for 4 or 5 years, it was just low fat. Of course, I was still having carbs too, and finding that balance of keeping those carbs down. I was having a real problem too at first getting into ketosis. And my best friend was doing some research and found that, any sugars, even substitute sugars,
Yeah.
will keep you out of that. And I bought the test strips and everything, and I would test, and it's like, oh man, why am I not in it?
Were you doing
Because
blood
I had been
ketones?
doing it for several weeks, and once I
Yeah.
quit, any synthetic sugars, even, I went right into it. I went into
Were
it.
you doing blood ketones, Jim? Testing your blood?
No, I was the urine ones,
Okay, so you were testing
the
the urine
urine ones.
ketones. And by synthetic sugars, what were you using?
Trivia,
Okay,
trivia.
gotcha. So Truvia is the stevia erythritol combo. And so
Right,
for some people they're able to handle stevia no problem. Like I'm able to consume stevia and still maintain ketosis, but other people can have an insulin elevation
right,
when they do it, right? And that may
right.
be the
And
case with you.
and the
Now
problem
you'll want
was,
to watch out with the fruit too, because if you're real insulin sensitive, if you are throwing in the berries in there, it may kick you out of ketosis. Okay, and then also, Jim, I would recommend switching to the blood ketones. Okay, because
okay,
the urine ketones really don't give you an accurate measure. they're only testing basically a ketone waste product. They're not
Okay.
actually testing, do you have ketones in your blood? Is your body utilizing the ketones?
So
So blood ketones
that
or
test
breath.
like you test like you did for blood sugar? Is that
Yeah, exactly. There's a company called
okay?
Keto Mojo, right?
Okay.
And I can put the link under this video here where you can get a blood ketone meter. And exactly, it's the same exact test. In fact, the
Okay.
same meter will test blood ketones and blood glucose.
Okay.
So you could be testing both of those, and that works really, really well. Good. Now, what have been some of your go-to meals on your ketogenic lifestyle?
Um, I eat a lot of salad, and
Yeah.
I put like meats in it, fish or
Hmm.
chicken, nuts,
Yep.
like pecans and stuff like
Hmm.
that, and anything that is like black olives. I'll put black olives in it, hard-boiled eggs, that
Yep.
kind of stuff. I eat a lot of salads and a lot of your meats and stuff like that,
Yeah,
fish,
that's great.
that kind
That's
of
great.
stuff.
And most people don't realize that actually olives and avocados are actually fruit. So a
Oh
lot of
yeah, I
people are like,
forgot
you know what I mean?
avocados.
So they're
Avocados. I
actually,
usually try to
yeah,
eat at least one avocado a day.
yeah. Yeah, that's such a good food for your
But
body.
but it's amazing, I'm really not missing like the breads and the
Yep.
potatoes. I people sometimes, that'll be eating in front of me kind of feel guilty, and it's like, no, it don't bother me at all. I'm
Yeah.
fine. I'm
Yep.
fine. So
All
it's
right.
really,
Well, this
really
is
good.
awesome. Let's jump into some questions here and see. There's probably some questions that are going to be asked to you, Jim,
Okay.
and then also some that I'll jump into. Rosa asks, how do you decide if keto is the right diet for you? That's a good question. I would say, number one, if you have issues going on with brain, right? So different issues involving brain function that you just don't feel like your mental performance is really good. Also, of course, if you want to lose weight, like in Jim's case, have high blood pressure, issues like that, then it's a good idea to look at doing a ketogenic diet because the most well-researched benefits of a ketogenic diet are weight loss, as well as improvements in mental performance, reducing things like dementia, Alzheimer's, stuff like that. So
Mhm.
neuroprotection of the ketones is really, really good. And for me, I'm a huge fan of basically what we call like diet variation or a cyclical ketogenic diet, where you know for most people, now not everybody, if you have a lot of health conditions, you definitely want to be talking with a functional health practitioner, can walk you through the stages. But I think everybody could benefit from spending periods of time in ketosis. And so I think it's really a diet for everybody. But, again, it might not be immediately right now for everybody. And so that's something that you could talk with a health practitioner with. If you don't have any, serious chronic diseases or anything like that, you can just try it out and see how you feel as your body gets into ketosis. Now, you always want to give yourself at least a week or two and just realize as you're changing your metabolic system from being a sugar burner to a fat burner, okay, you may not feel the best for like the first week or two. For some people, they feel great after a few days. For other people, it takes a little bit more longer to transition in. Jim, did you notice a lot of struggles? I know you talked about fasting. That first day was tough. Did you notice a lot of struggles for the first week or two? When did you start feeling good as you transition into ketosis?
Um, I think really shortly afterwards. Um, I did have some trouble with my bowels,
Yeah.
afterwards because that all changed. That was kind of a problem for a while. And so I took some stool softeners and like that and made sure it was natural. I didn't want to do anything that wasn't. And
Yep.
so, but
So
really
you had a little bit of
nothing.
constipation, which is
Yeah.
pretty common. Yep. As you
Yeah. So,
transition, your microbiome's got to change too.
right.
Yep.
Right. But yeah, that was one of the biggest changes, I think.
Yep.
But
Let's see. Well, let's see some other questions. And really, with constipation on keto, I actually have a whole article that I'll post that really goes into that in detail. So Vicky says keto way of eating is the best. I really agree, Vicky. I think it is. Really powerful tool for us. Really reduces inflammation, keeps that insulin really helps your body be very sensitive to insulin rather
Right.
than resistant to insulin, which most people are dealing with some level of insulin resistance. And again, very good for reducing inflammation. So we got Maria
Hmm.
coming in from Minnesota. Hey, Maria. We got Dear coming in from Thailand. We got Kathleen from Louisville, Kentucky. Let's see other questions. Okay, let's see. Joy says, Dr. Jockers, I was just diagnosed with insulin resistance and fatty liver. Can I use keto lifestyle safely? It's a great question. And absolutely you can. A lot of people are concerned if they have fatty liver, they think eating all this fat on a ketogenic diet is actually going to stress their liver. But actually, that's not true at all. A fatty liver can still convert fatty acids into ketones. Okay. And actually, fatty liver is characterized by insulin resistance and high blood sugar. Okay. And so the best way to heal insulin resistance and fatty liver is actually through a ketogenic lifestyle and also incorporate fasting. In fact, Jim, I know you weren't diagnosed with a fatty liver, but I would, my hypothesis would be being the fact that you had the weight that you had, that you did have a fatty liver because you had significant
Hmm.
insulin resistance. And so absolutely, Joy, it can definitely be a safe approach. All right. Again, when you have a condition, it's always wise to work with a keto coach, somebody that can help kind of manage your process and walk you through it. That's always a really good idea. But Joy, I think you'll do great on a ketogenic diet and
Right.
lifestyle. So great question there.
When I had
Yeah.
lost about 150 pounds, I started having trouble with my gallbladder,
Yeah.
and
The rapid weight loss.
didn't know what was wrong at first, and finally, I was really sick, and they thought I had diverticulosis at first, and finally, they discovered it was my gallbladder,
Yep.
and had that removed. However, I had no gallstones, and I asked my doctor. My surgeon, I said, well, what made my gallbladder go bad if I had no gallstones? And he said, you actually threw your body into shock by that
Mm.
rapid weight loss.
Yeah.
And so some people are concerned too, if you have had your gallbladder removed, whether you can do the ketose diet.
Yeah.
And it has not been a problem with me at all, not
Yeah.
having my
So
gallbladder.
you had your gallbladder removed and this hasn't been an issue for you. Yeah.
Right,
That
right.
is a common question that I get, and actually I have an article that I'll post under this video about how if you can do a ketogenic diet without a gallbladder, and just like you were saying, you can. And a gallbladder is really an appendage of the liver. So if you have a gallbladder issue, it's really actually a liver issue.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim is right. Rapid weight loss is actually one of the risk factors for developing gallstones to begin with. And so losing weight very quickly can end up causing that sort of stress on the body and kind of this sluggishness and this calcium formation in the bile ducts. Okay. Also, I think the fact that you were on a lower fat diet for a period of time too.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, a low fat diet can actually also lead to gallstones because the bile's not flowing as
Right,
effectively. We're not
right.
using as much. But yes, the liver is what actually produces the bile. And so there are some different things you could do. You could definitely do some supplements to help with that process. But I'll post that article later if you guys are wondering about exactly how to do ketogenic diet without a gallbladder. But Jim's a perfect example of somebody here that did not have any health issues, or he didn't have any pain or any sort of discomfort going into a higher fat diet, and he doesn't have a gallbladder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's see other questions here. Let's see. Denise says, "What do you think of bulletproof coffee?" So that's like it's a fatty coffee where basically you put in like coconut oil or MCT oil, grass-fed butter into your coffee. I'm actually a fan of that. I think it's a really good idea, and you can do things like a fat fast where you get in healthy fats, which can help stimulate ketones. And coffee, believe it or not, as long as you don't have a food sensitivity to it, can also actually help induce the production of ketones. And there's a lot of polyphenols in the coffee that are good for the gut microbiome, good for reducing inflammation. So I actually am a fan of it as long as, again, you don't have an intolerance to coffee or any of the other ingredients. Let's see. I know somebody said, okay, Cami says, can you drink water during fasting? Absolutely. In fact, that's what I recommend. There is such a thing as dry fasting where people try to go and do it without water, but I don't think that's safe. So I would, if you're going to do that, certainly work with an expert that's helped coach people through that. I don't think it's a safe approach. I think a water fast is a very, very safe approach. People have been doing that for a very long time and with great results. And that's what you're doing, right, Jim? Water
Right.
fast?
I'm doing water fast, and I have made my fasting as a biblical fast. So I do a
Yeah.
lot of praying, and
Yes.
reading the Bible when I can,
Yep.
and I listen to a lot of worship music and that kind of
Love
stuff
it.
during my fast. So,
Love it. And that's a really great time to go deep, right? Because when
hmm
you're number one, you've got more time. You're not preparing
right,
meals and eating meals, right? Number two
right,
is, you definitely feel like when I fast, I'm really not hungry. It's more so just that I'm used to eating and I enjoy eating. And so I think about the food sometimes. And so going back to, your spiritual center, going back and doing more of a biblical fast where you're focusing on
right,
praying, focusing on reading scripture keeps your mind in the right direction,
right,
and you're able to really make the most out of that. And ultimately, I think, all of us need to be focusing mentally, emotionally, and spiritually
hmm
on growth
hmm
every day. And so
right,
fasting can be a
right,
reminder of that. And so I think that's a
right.
great approach. Okay, let's
I
see.
totally agree with that. I actually started a Facebook page on Facebook
Yeah,
that's called "Let's Get Healthy Together: Body, Mind, and Spirit," uh,
nice.
and I've got like 330 members on that.
Love it.
And I share a lot of things on that and encouragement.
Yeah.
And I hit the different categories as far as your body, of what to
Mm,
do, and spiritual and mind, of renewing our minds,
yeah.
and drawing closer. And when I started this diet, I actually thought that I was doing it to get physically healthy, but God had so much more in mind,
Mm,
of drawing me in closer to Him and healing me from some past hurts in my childhood, and it's just been a wonderful, complete balance of what God has created us to be. And not only is He concerned, about our bodies. I like to go back to the scriptures where it talks about our bodies are the temple of the Holy
yeah.
Spirit, and it just all flows together. And I just don't believe that you can do one without the other, actually, and
Yeah.
have great results. And
Yeah.
and so that's why I've started this page, to help people get started on their journey.
That's
So
great. So
I
name of
love
your
helping
page
people,
is Let's Get Healthy Together, Mind, Body, and Spirit.
body, mind, and
Body,
spirit.
mind, and spirit. So
Let's
check
get
that out.
healthy together, body, mind, and
Yeah.
spirit.
Check that out. Thanks so much for doing that, Jim, and just really
Okay.
inspiring people for sure. And I'm totally in agreement with you, that our job is to really offer our bodies as a living sacrifice,
Right,
right? And
right.
that's, fasting is a way that you do that. And,
hmm
the uncomfortableness of the fast, you just remind yourself that this is your opportunity to offer your body up as a living sacrifice and, that you want to draw closer to God during that period of
Right.
time. And it really helps drown out the uncomfortableness of it. So thank you for sharing that. Let's see. I'm going to take one more question. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, this is a good question. Christina says, should I be fat adapted before going on a fast? So, meaning that should our body be adapted to burning fat rather than sugar as fuel before going on a fast? It's a really good question because fasting is the best way to get fat adapted, number one. However, the fast is very uncomfortable unless you are fat adapted. So, kind of just depends on where you're at and your motivation. I know Jim was not fat adapted. He just started fasting right away, and it was a struggle, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
I've done that before too. Back years ago, I hated fasting. My parents, we would do that for religious purposes, but I always thought it was the worst thing ever. And now that I am fat adapted, fasting is so much easier. So just depends on you. Again, if you're highly, highly motivated and you also have a few days where you don't have to work, nobody's really depending on you, and you're like, I want to get fat adapted quickly, then you certainly could fast. Okay, and get there, do a water fast and get there. However, it's definitely more comfortable to get your body into a state of ketosis first, follow the ketogenic lifestyle, start doing intermittent fasting, where, at first maybe you're doing 14 hours between dinner and breakfast, and then push it up to 16 hours or 18 hours, something along those lines, and then do a 24-hour fast. And that sort of approach is a lot more comfortable. It's what I typically recommend for people. Jim, any thoughts on that?
Um, I think everybody's different, and so they just have to experience, what works best for them. Again, like I said, I just jumped in at full force. I wanted to get the weight off, and
Yeah.
I've always been a go-getter when it comes to getting things done, and so I just jumped in all the way, and went for it. But yeah, my fast, well, like on a Monday evening is my last meal until Wednesday at lunchtime. So, it's about a 42-hour fast
Yep.
actually. But now that I'm into it, it's no problem whatsoever. I have people ask me, they go, "Well, don't you get weak or don't you get shaky?" And when I was a diabetic, I could always tell when my sugar was going too low because I get very shaky, and but with this, I am not experiencing any of that. Kind of at first, there was times would, when I would come out of my fast, I would maybe have a little sick feeling a little bit. But I think what it was at first, I was trying to get what all the fats that I thought I was supposed to have when I ate, and I was actually overeating.
Yeah.
And so and my nurse practitioner, she said, "Oh, well," she said, "you can quit when you're full. Don't keep eating," because I'd eat, and it's like I would check, and it's like, "Oh, I don't have enough fats yet," so I'd eat something more, and I
Yeah.
just, I was overeating, just trying to get the fats, and
Right.
I found I don't need to eat all the fats because
Yeah.
now my body's burning my own fat,
Yeah,
and that's what I
exactly.
want.
That's right. You
So
got to eat to satiety, and so you don't
yeah,
have to hit this certain macronutrient, this sort of, calorie load.
right,
You don't have to do that. Instead, you're just eating to satiety. And so I'm a huge fan of intuitive eating, right? And kind of like
right,
that, just listening to your body. And I think that's huge. And that's really helped you with your weight loss journey there, just
right,
listening
right,
to your body. So I want to thank everybody for being on. And of course, thank Jim for sharing this great testimonial. What an inspiration that you've been to so many. And definitely, in the comments box, give Jim a lot of love there. Jim, you're welcome to jump back in if you have time today and, answer any questions or like
right,
people's
right,
comments. You're welcome to do whatever you want as far as that goes. Plug your Facebook group as well.
right,
Definitely do that. And if you're out there and you're getting great results with keto or whatever it is, and you want to
right,
share your testimonial, maybe fasting or whatever it is that you're doing that we promote here on drjockers.com, definitely send me a message, and we'll see if we can get you in for a future interview. That's really what Jim did. He just said, "Hey, I've gotten these results. I lost 35 pounds here. I'm doing great with this. I'd love to share my journey." And so I said, "Hey, why not? Come on in." And so again, thanks so much, Jim. I really appreciate that. Any
right.
final words of inspiration for everybody here before we end the broadcast?
I appreciate you, David, too. I've learned a lot, from you also. Um, but like I said, it is a great way to get healthier. Whether you want to lose weight or not. I mean, just physically healthy, your body healthy, and you can do it. And
Yeah,
and just get started, even if it's little steps to begin with, because like I said, it's one step at a time, one day at a time, but you can do it. You can really do it. And I say, if I've done it and I feel this great, anybody can do it. And so I appreciate you so much, David. I usually share, these videos, chats on my Let's Get Healthy page. So, it's just, I think when we can join together as a team, there's nothing more encouraging then you have that support.
yeah,
And, it's really important to have that behind you to be successful and to just get on that journey and give God the glory for all things. And that's what I do. So, I
Well,
appreciate it. Thank
thanks.
you, David.
Thanks so much again. I really appreciate that. And again, everybody, certainly like and share this. And I'm going to announce a winner for those of you guys who are doing that for our Keto Edge product on Thursday when I interview Danielle, our functional nutritionist. And we're going to be talking about leaky gut and autoimmunity. So that'll be Thursday around the same time that we're doing this interview. So check that out then, or check out the replay of it. And again, thanks so much, Jim. Really appreciate you. And God bless everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye.